Let's talk about the concept of neutrality. It's one of my favorite subjects and one of my favorite ways of being. I think there's a lot of confusion around the concept of neutrality. And so I thought that maybe we might kind of flesh that out a little bit more. So when I talk about being neutral or standing in neutrality, some people mistake that for me not knowing my own mind or how I feel about something, or me not picking a team, or that it means that I, I'm neutral and don't take action or take a stand on things that aren't right, or that I feel are unethical or unjust, or just heading us in the wrong direction. That's not what neutrality means at all. I know my mind. I've got a strong voice. And generally, I know what I think in the moment. Because I've lived on the planet just long enough to realize that if you're living, you should be changing and evolving. And what you believe at one point in time, as you gather more facts and more experience and your perspective shifts, that sometimes those ideas and those beliefs start to change and they start to shift. We even see it in science as new discoveries are made, as we planted our flags on scientific facts that we might have thought were true previously, but now we find, because we have new instruments or we've looked in a different direction, that what we believed actually wasn't true. So neutrality doesn't mean that you don't have a sense of what your belief system is and that you don't take a stand for what you believe. Neutrality means that you disengage the emotion from needing to be right and making other people wrong long enough to sit in consideration of someone else's experience and sitting in consideration of their belief system and considering why they might have a different belief system than we do. Because it's sitting in this space with the mind disengaged in active listening and taking in the substance of what someone else is talking about, and most especially not about what they believe, but being curious as to why they believe what they do. It's the why that helps us understand the human circumstance and how different experiences and education and cultural beliefs and spiritual beliefs and gender and socioeconomic levels and political beliefs, all of these things shape and form who we are. And so somehow we've gotten to the point to where we feel that in some strange way, there's billions of people on the planet with all these different backgrounds and belief systems, but somehow we're supposed to all be in lockstep with what we believe from a spiritual perspective or from a political perspective. There's no way we're all going to believe the same thing about these things. So does that mean that I'm right and you're wrong? No. Often two things that seem opposingly different can be true at the same time. So exercising neutrality is being willing to suspend judgment and be in an active listening space, not high in emotion or the monkey mind spinning while somebody else is talking, with the mind saying why they're wrong, I don't believe that. It's suspending all of that and just being able to be in the space with them so that you can try to breed some understanding and understand Why do they have a different perspective than I do? And oftentimes when you hear their story, and when they're not talking in media or political sound bites, you're going to find that there's some kind of experience they've had or that they've seen someone close to them have that have helped create this belief system. And maybe even though it's not your experience and even though you don't understand, maybe you can just sit and consider, I kind of get the way that they feel that way. I don't necessarily agree, but helps me cut some slack, especially from being angry because they feel differently than I do. So let's practice a little bit more neutrality. Create a little bit more space for other people to be who they are and believe what they do without having to stand in who's right and who's wrong, because we have lost the art of compromise. And heading forward into the future with this entrenched us versus them isn't going to create a very easy path for our collective future. But standing in a bit of neutrality and curiosity as to why other people might believe the way they do ends up creating bonds of the heart in relationship that allows people to walk away from conversations where we may not agree with a sense that they've been heard and that there's been respect and that they've been listened to without necessarily anybody needing to change their mind. Look, it's a bit of an art to do it, and most of us aren't born this way. It's going to take some practice, but we have to set the intention of wanting to practice it so that we can create positive ripple effects in the world that help make the world a little bit better place so that we can start to build some bridges to get out from underneath some of the heaviness that a lot of us are feeling right now. This has been a sage inspiration from Alecia at askalecia.com. If you'll take a moment and like the video below, hit subscribe and hit the bell so you can get my videos as soon as they come out. And join me on my Facebook page at Ask Alecia on Facebook.